The author is Anne Nivat, Moscow correspondent for the French daily newspaper Libération. The book recounts Nivat's travels in the breakaway Russian Republic of Chechnya beginning in September of 1999, a period coinciding with a renewed Russian military assault launched by then Prime Minister Vladimir Putin. Nivat was deported by authorities in February 2000, the same month that the Russian military declared victory in what's been called the Second Chechen War. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us first how you got into Chechnya. This was a time when the Russian authorities were not letting Western journalists travel independently.
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't really care about what the Russian authorities were allowing or not allowing. I'm a journalist and I do my job. So I arrived in Chechnya right before the war broke out. So that's probably how it helped me a great deal, to be already there when it all started. Doesn't mean it was easier, but it helped.
But you also went in disguise, essentially.
Yes, because that was the only way I could do my job as a reporter. Well, now I don't really feel like having been disguised. Back then, you know, it was like normal, natural. I just realized that in order to do my job, I should just get completely unnoticed. Be only a woman, just a woman among other women. And I just noticed that every Chechen woman wear a scarf and long skirt. And I just decided, I just bought a long skirt and a scarf, and here I was, crossing the checkpoints, the Russian military checkpoints, without being noticed by them.
Now, you also speak Russian.
I do. Yes, speaking Russian was, of course, of a great help. Being a woman, speaking Russian, knowing the region, and being ready to stay for a while and not for 1 or 2 or 3 days, as usually journalists do, were really good, were of a great help to me.
Now, how were you able to file your stories?
It was difficult. I had a satellite phone with me because, as you can imagine, there is no normal phone lines in Chechnya, no computers working, no electricity, no heating, no nothing. So I was just writing my articles by hand and dictating them on the phone back to Paris. Paris had provided me with a sat phone which I had strapped on my belly.
Mm-hmm. So you were on the ground when this assault began. Tell us what it was like.
Horrifying, of course, and it is still horrifying. That's what I want to say today, is that this war is still going on. And although it's not the kind of blind bombing, shelling of civilians and villages I went through during the winter 99-2000, what's happening now might even be worse, because when Putin and the Kremlin tell us, well, this war is over. That's basically, as you said, it is over. That's what they've been saying since February last year. It's wrong. It's completely wrong. What is going on in Chechnya is that civilians are still being killed by the Russian army. And the Russian army so far did not arrest any of the top rebels.
All right, but let's go back to your book just a little bit, though, because the heart of your book is really the impact all this had on civilians.
Yeah.
What does the West need to know about that?
Well, the West need to know that this war is a full-scale war, a nasty, dirty war, and it has nothing to do with a clean anti-terrorist operation as the Kremlin pictures it to us, to the outside world. What I saw myself many times, sharing my daily life with the life of the civilians, is that unfortunately the Russian army doesn't really care whom it is killing down there, and the civilians are suffering. That is the result. The result is that on the first hand you have the Russian army, and on the second hand you have the rebels, the Chechen rebels, and caught in between you have the civilians. Thousands of people who have no life, who lost absolutely everything, and they're just hoping that someday it will stop.